Andrew, thank you very much for joining us. It's been a while since we last sat down and caught up on what's going on. Just a few weeks ago, we had the 2013-14 annual accounts out, and it was pretty positive news for the Ospreys compared to where we've come from the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think we've slowly crawled back from the 1.4 odd million losses we were making, and to lose 6,000 pounds is a fantastic effort and testament to everybody in the organisation that's worked so hard to get there. It's come at a lot of sacrifice, but hopefully it puts us in a strong position now, along with the agreements that we signed, to a good platform to push on. It could have been better. I mean, I think there was 124,000 pounds in legal fees, and I think that's a pretty sad indictment on where things have been over the last 18 months. But I think the level of investment in that is proven to put us in good stead moving forward, and hopefully next year, if we keep working hard, we can continue to grow the business and that reinvest that money back into the business to keep growing rugby in the Australian region.
The improvement for last year, what would you put that down to? Could you put your finger on any one or two things that were able to turn the figures around to the 6,000?
The improvements in the competitions won't be seen until next year. This year was largely just down to damn hard work. We had improved growth in merchandising, improved growth in crowds, which is fantastic when you hear a lot of the doomsday. There's also just, in a lot of it, prudent decisions and around wage costs, which are the biggest cost to any business. But there has been growth. Do we want more growth? Yes. Do we have more work to do? Yes. But hopefully, as I say, the agreements that we've signed will enable us to spread that investment widely across the business, so we can continue to improve in our development arm, continue to improve our elite arm or the squad, and to continue to improve our office-bound activity, which I think we all agree is an area that professional sport and Welsh rugby can improve on.
You touch on that, you mentioned the office side of things and professionalism of the business. That's something that probably people don't see the expenditure of, because focus is on rugby and specifically the first team, but you've got to have a team in place that's big enough and able to do the job that's needed to drive what is a big beast of a professional rugby team. Yeah,
I mean, a lot of people, say that our actual turnover compared to our global reach it's out of balance, and it is. You've got a lot of people that are demanding a lot of things from a very small operation and a very streamlined operation. And I was just talking to Gareth Jenkins actually from the Scarlets about it. We feel both organisations have staff that work extremely hard. We don't have people that are putting in large sums of money as some of the big English and French entities that it's almost a hobby for them. This is a true business, and as a consequence, the big area of growth that can change it on the stroke of a pen is TV revenues, and that's now, over this next 18 months to 2 years, what we really need to focus on, of driving interest in the sport, to enable us to even grow even further. But it's an exciting time. There's definitely a very strong platform to build from, both with a new services agreement with the WRU, and also the obviously increased investment from the European game now in particular, which has brought in significant more revenues spread evenly across teams for the TV rights for that.
You've touched on TV revenues and you've touched on new deals. Looking at this financial year, 2014-15, how are we looking? What's the impact going to be on the accounts for this year? Bear in mind those additional increases in income through the guaranteed revenues, plus new sponsorship deals, the likes of PLK, BT Sport. What's the picture like for this year?
Well, the picture's solid, and I think, look, there's probably a million CEOs that sat there and spouted that it's going to be a great year, and what's down on paper to what comes out in reality are two vastly different things. But if we keep going with the way that we have been acting and behaving with regard to how responsible we've been and building this business once again, things should be on a very strong footing, and it should give us the ability to invest more into key areas, as I said, such as the senior team, the elite youth development, and increase some of our commercial activity that'll enable us year on year to continue to grow. The one variable in all of this which is really hard to factor in is player inflation, and there's no doubt that it's gone another step. The French and England also have shared increased TV revenues, both in European level, but more importantly at the domestic level. And I think it's only now we're starting to see real pressures, not so much even on our international players, but more that next tier of player that's not quite in the international realm. The amounts that those players are being offered and how hard we're having to work to compete to keep them here is getting harder and harder. And these are the economic realities, unfortunately, for the Celtic League, who share a lot of similarities, I think, to our Sansa partners. But we're just that much closer to England and France that it can make it that much more challenging.
It's an interesting point that you make, because I was going to bring up, when people listen to you talking about strengthening the senior group, the automatic vision is we're going to be out signing players, bringing them in. But sometimes that investment has to come in the way of securing players, youngsters up and coming, because when we looked at 14, 15 players who re-signed in 2014-15, but when you've got 20-year-olds coming off development contracts in the senior group, it's increased expenditure, and the likes of the youngsters who were your Nicky Smiths, your Dan Bakers, who are coming to sign contracts now that they're international players. It's an unforeseen cost that people don't realise.
Yeah, it just goes on, doesn't it? And the more successful we are, the more demand that creates on both those players going into national camp, and also on other clubs wanting them. What may help in that is, I don't think the real teeth of Gatland's law or the national selection policy has kicked in as yet, and I think that may see a change of heart in some players who want to represent their country, and that'll take time to filter into existence. So there's a lot to be worked on, and our number one priority is keeping the young people that we develop here. There's no doubt if we'd been able to keep some of those people we had to let go in the past, we'd probably be in a stronger position. So that's got to be our number one driver, is how we can look to keep locally produced talent in our own area, and then supplement that with high quality foreign talent.
We've talked about increasing income, we've talked about what the commercial department are doing, we've touched on television revenues and also the new RSA. Is there other ways that we can focus growth? What can we do as the Ospreys, as PRW, as the Pro 12? How can we grow the business?
Well, I think the key one that's there is we've had a change in our commercial management structure to look at the ways that we can continue to grow bums on seats. And one of the exciting things that's happened is, I think with this new leadership change at Swansea Council, I think it's going to be fantastic there. I think there's a relationship that can grow and assist us in making the stadium a place that people want to come to, and to continue to grow our base of support, which has, if you look back, 3,500, I think the year that at the Knoll when they won the Celtic League, to 7,500 season ticket holders now. But it's the one area that we've really got to do more in the community to get that support down there, supporting the Ospreys, creating an atmosphere, and that is another key area of focus for us. And as I said, it takes energy, time and financial resource, and we've just got to make sure we get the balance right between keeping a team on the pitch that can compete, cover any injuries we have, because one of the things people don't see is, once upon a time we had over £1 million worth of player not involved in the European squad. Because of the cutbacks, the amount of player resource we've got outside the top 38 rather, is around a quarter of that. And so what happens in these fallow periods that the boys are going into now, I really take my hat off to Steve Tandy and those players, because they're having to work twice as hard with less resource than what we had to in the past. There was almost an embarrassment of riches that is there's no longer there. But in that said, I think we've got a crew of players who really, really love playing for the Ospreys and will give everything they've got. And so I'm extremely proud of the playing staff we've got here and the coaching staff. The sad thing is we don't have more of both, and that's what we need. And that's what we'll be striving to do, along with putting on a product that people hopefully want to come down, watch and be a part of watching this club grow.
In summary then, if you had 30 seconds to paint a picture of the future for the Ospreys, what would you say?
Well, I think we've got a really young squad. I think we've got a nice blend there of some elder statesmen such as the Alan Wynne-Jones and the Justin Tippericks who've secured their long-term future. So this year I'd be expecting, or next year I'll be expecting another step up. I'll be expecting another step up with regard to our revenues as well, and another notch towards us becoming what we want to be, which is a world-leading rugby force. At the moment, as you know, we've probably out of the top 38 teams in Europe, we've probably got a wage bill of around 34th or 35th. So we want to get up that league table. We want to stay at the top of the Pro 12 we are now, and we want to push on further in Europe, and we think we've got a base to be able to do that.